Hello everyone, and welcome to this Unity tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a full inventory system inside of Unity using the drag and drop system from last week's video. Okay, so we're going to get in the canvas, create a UI image, and we're going to name this image the hotbar. This is going to be hotbar for our game. We can now resize this image to look like a hotbar, and then we are going to anchor this down at the bottom and actually anchor it right there, and then move it up so it's not just on the bottom. Then we are going to duplicate this hotbar, and then we are going to anchor it to the middle and then scale it up. Once this hotbar has been scaled up, just like that, when you have it like you like it, name it inventory, and then go under the first hotbar and create another UI image. You're going to name this image inventory slot, and it's going to be the inventory slot. We're going to change the scale to 0.75 so it's a little bit smaller than the hotbar itself. We're going to change the color to a dark gray so it stands out against the white background. And then on the hotbar, we are going to add a horizontal layout group. This horizontal layout group will move our hotbar slot just to the middle. We can set the child alignment to middle center. And we are going to do the same for the inventory, and we are going to make the inventory slot a prefab. We're going to duplicate it just so that it looks like the hotbar, so it has 9 slots. On the inventory, we are going to add a grid layout group. This does the same as the horizontal layout group, but just a little bit different. We're going to change the child alignment to middle center and drag an inventory slot in there. And then we're going to just duplicate it a lot. You can also change the cell size to something like 150, but since I have my inventory slots at 100, I'm going to just keep it at 100. Then you can just keep on duplicating these slots until you have about as many as you would like. And then what you can do is change the spacing. I'm going to change it to 100 by 100, and then just finish out so it looks all nice and neat. Now what we are going to do right now is go into the inventory canvas, create another UI image. This is going to be our inventory item. We can actually anchor this to the main canvas itself so we can move it around. And we can just move it right there, zoom in a bit, and change the scale to 0. We're going to change the width to 75 and height to 75, and then change the scale to 0.9. And now what we're going to do, just make sure that looks good on the inventory slot, so it's just right there. Then I'm just going to put a sample sprite from the sprites that I imported right there. Now, what we're going to do is change this inventory item to a prefab. We're going to delete it from there, and then we're going to go to the hotbar, and then drag the inventory item under the first inventory slot, just to have a little basic. You can see that that's not there. We can just reset the positions. And then what we're going to have to do is, because it doesn't look right, we're going to have to add a grid layout group on the first inventory slot. You can see that I have to place it there, but what we want to do instead is just add a grid layout group. So when we add that, it will scale it up and put it right in the middle. And you're going to click apply all, and it will put one of these things under every single object, which we don't actually want. So I'm just going to Command Z that, and then what we're going to do is delete this item from it, and then just make sure that all of them have a grid layout group on it. You can see that we are checking on the inventory slot, all of them have a grid layout groups, which is what we want. Now on the inventory slot, we're just going to drag it right here, and you can see that it snaps right to the middle. Now we need to add the drag and drop. So we're going to add the drag and drop from the last week's video, and we're going to edit this script. You can see that there is nothing in this script because I have deleted everything from the video last week, and we're going to need to create a public image, name it image, and then a public transform and name it parent. That's going to be a parent that this object is under. The on begin drag, we're going to set image.raycastTarget is equal to false, just so that you cannot drag it while you're already dragging it. And then we're going to do parent is equal to, we are going to set parent equal just to parent.root. And then on the onDrag, we are going to set our transform.position equal to our event data.position. On the endDrag function, we're going to set the image.raycastTarget is equal to true, so that we are able to drag it again. And then we're going to set transform.setParent, and it's going to be parent. Now actually, we are going to change this parent.root to transform.parent. And then we are going to have to set our transform.setParent equal to our transform.root. Then we're going to go back inside of Unity, and this drag and drop, I'm going to drag the image on the inventory slot prefab, so now all of the inventory slot prefabs have the image, a component attached to it. Then what you're going to want to do is create a new MonoBehavior script and name this inventory slot. This is going to go onto the inventory slot. And now we're going to have to wait for the Unity engine to compile. And now inside of this script, we're going to implement the iDrop handler interface, and then we're going to show potential fixes and then implement the interface. And then we're going to check if our transform.childCount is equal to 0. So if we do not have an item already, then we're going to get an item. So we're going to do event data.pointerDrag, and then we're going to do .gameObject.getComponent, and the component that we're going to get is the drag drop script. In there, we're going to set our parent equal to this transform. Then we're going to go back inside of Unity, add the inventory slot MonoBehavior script to the inventory slot prefab, and then I'm going to duplicate the inventory item and put it in a few different more slots, and then just change the image that it has. And then I'm going to do the same for the inventory main inventory canvas, drag an inventory item into one of the slots, and then change one of the items. So now, once that's all done, we can click play and enter play mode. Now once we're inside of play mode, you can see that we can just drag this stuff around, and that these items lock in with their positions. You can see that if I drag them out, it snaps back to its original cell, and if you put it in the cell, then it will snap to that cell itself. And with that, this Unity tutorial is finished. If you like this tutorial, please give our channel a like and a subscribe, because it really helps out a ton. Thank you!